I'm not going to say his name, and I'm switching topics here, okay? So we're off cameras and we're talking about I guess, the current landscape of movies and things. And I'm not going to say his name because he didn't tell me to say his name, but he's. I'll just say he's also a reviewer, okay? We reviewers, we talk amongst each other behind the scenes all the time, and he was literally telling me that, and this might be just his like current frame of mind, okay, but he was literally telling me that he doesn't enjoy talking about movies as much anymore. The reason being is because everything is so negative these days. He still loves movies, but he just doesn't like just the constant negativity that's out there. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about, especially if you frequent social media, especially if you frequent X, where a lot of this negativity, you have negative uh, channels that go on there. And then you have their followers that go on there. And it's just like this beast that feeds itself. And you get the negativity way before and this is nothing new. We've talked about this ad nauseum in the past, but the reason I bring this up is because it kind of made me sad. Just this, my friend stating that I don't really, and this isn't him saying he's going to quit or anything like that. No, he loves movies, but just, I guess, the current landscape. He's just not enjoying all the negativity that's out there. And you could unpack that. And are movies like that bad now that it kind of like, did the movies create this monster, or was it something else that caused this monster to happen? Um, Being that there's just like here's the movie, not just Hollywood, but just like the movie landscape in general, right? Right. And it feels like around this is just this tornado of negativity, and there doesn't seem to be like a stop and a start. It doesn't seem to be like, okay, movie comes out and then they critique it, and it's just really, really a bad movie. And all of a sudden, just this freaking shitstorm of negativity happens. That's happened in the past with really, really, really bad movies, but high profile movies that are that bad, like, I mean, freaking 1 out of 5 bad, because I think most movies these days are like 3 out of 5. That's even the movies that people shit on. Like, I can go ahead and say like Predator Badlands. All right, let's use Predator Badlands as a good example, just because it's the current movie. Okay, um, those of you in the chat that have seen Predator Badlands, what would you rate it out of 5? Just give me I give it a 4 out of 5, a 3 out of 5, a 2 out of 5, a 1 out of 5. What would you give it? Okay. I it's and you know what? I saw this movie like a month ago now. It's still like my favorite movie of the year just because it checked a lot of boxes that I want out of a movie. But when I stand back and look at my own rating, yeah, I'm probably blowing the movie. Yeah, it's probably a good, at least for me, I'd say at least 3.5 out of 5. Okay, I think that's a fair assessment for the movie. I saw it twice in the theater, and I rarely see any movie twice in the theater these days. I just don't have time. But I think that's a good test case because it's so weird when you go online and you see the fighting that goes on between people that like the movie and people that don't like the movie. And it's just a movie, but it's the weird thing is how much it's a fight. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a constructive debate. It feels like people throwing jabs at each other. Oh yeah, well yeah, it might be the close to the second highest grossing Predator movie ever, but and then they give their counter. Um, it still didn't make a profit. It's still not going to make a profit. That's the like the box office is, entering the conversation to determine if a movie is deemed worthy or not. That's, and I could also apply this to like Superman. And I was just on Cecil's channel from the horror show last week, and Superman has the same exact effect. And I'm going to be honest, guys. It's literally like 5-year olds talking to 7-year olds. And I'm making fun of both sides of the argument. People that like Superman 2025 and people that hate Superman 2025 and are, I guess, Snyder. Because it seems like if you don't like Superman 2025, you're a Snyder cultist. Again, it's a 3 out of 5 movie for me. That's all it is. We're talking about movies that are 3 out of 5, but for some reason, they're either the greatest thing in the world or the biggest piece of shit on the planet. You know what I mean? That's where we're at right now with fandom. It feels like the immaturity levels out there are just astronomical. I'm sure you guys can remember like 10 years ago. I'm asking you guys questions now. Do you think this existed? Set aside Star Wars, okay? Because you could probably throw Star Wars against the wall and say, but I guess aside from Star Wars, did this exist 10 years ago? Twitter was around 10 years ago, but I don't remember, I guess you could say pretty much the hot tentpole movie. We get one of them a month, I would say. This last month it was Predator Badlands. We just had Wicked come out. So these big high profile movies. It seems like we get into this argument with these movies every time they come out, pretty much every month. And the argument lasts, a couple weeks. It could last a month or whatever until the next big one comes along. And it's exhausting. So I see where my friend is coming from. I see, because again, I don't want to give too much away, but this friend of mine, he's been doing this as long as I have, maybe close to it. I remember the days, and I'm not speaking for myself. Okay. I agree with him. I see what he's talking about. I just reviewed Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think that's what keeps me sane. When I start getting tired, and I do it too, guys, I go on to X and I argue with these guys. I'm the idiot as well. But I think what helps me bring myself back to sanity is doing what I love and talking about, classics, I guess. We're in November now, and just recently I started thinking, okay, I just reviewed Nightmare 4. That was so freaking fun. I didn't get into an argument with one person online about the movie. That was cool. You know what? It's November. We're getting close. Let's go ahead and review Silent Night, Deadly Night. I thought, why not go ahead and do that? Let's just go ahead and talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night, because the last time I did a revisit, because the first time I did Silent Night, Deadly Night was like 10 years ago. And I think that review's like less than 5 minutes long. I don't do that anymore with catalog titles. If I'm doing a catalog review, I'm going to make it worth it. I'm going to at least talk for like 15 minutes. The review's going to be like 15 minutes. And that's what I wanted to do. And I had a freaking blast. And it kind of brought me back to base level, right? To zero, and feeling happy about doing all this. And I still get excited about reviewing new releases too, though, but I see what he's saying. I definitely see what he's saying. And it is easy to get kind of frustrated. And I've tried to get into arguments with people online, and I'm just as stupid as they are, at the end of the day. And it ends up getting ugly. Let's just say that. And I usually just have to back off. Okay, I'm done. This is not getting productive at all. And I am the guy, I will say, I was on there yesterday, and I think we were talking about Badlands. Yeah, it was about Badlands, and somebody, I should have known better. Somebody posted something about Badlands being close to the highest grossing Predator movie ever. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I love Badlands. I'll go ahead and repost that, because I like getting behind a movie that I love. And I should have known better, because then, one of these like major, it's a channel that, that's on, I call it the other side of the review argument. I'm not saying those guys are worse or better. I'm just saying there's the anti woke crowd. There's like they're doing what they got to do. I get it. But they're on the other side of the argument, and a lot of those guys, not all of them, but most of them that I've noticed, they seem to hate Predator Badlands because it's by Disney. And I'm not saying if you don't like Predator Badlands, that's fine. But my point is the arguments that get broken out. That's these weird, and you get sucked into the tornado, and then you're in the middle of the tornado and you're spinning, and you're like, why am I here? What the fuck is going on? We're talking about a movie right now, and somehow I'm getting called names, and and it was one of the followers of I'm guessing they were followers, but he he called me a I'll say the word. Am I getting in trouble? Say the word. He called me. I was just like, wow, like that's where we are. So now you're being like homophobic, and you're putting down, a section of people on our planet. True story. I'm not like trying to be dramatic here. Okay. He literally like posted like an image. You can find it probably if you go on my freaking X feed. And if you go onto that Badlands and you start going down that rabbit, you'll find it. And he posted some image. And right before he posted that image, this is what I said to the guy. Because I was trying to be the peacemaker. He said something. I can't remember what he said before that comment, but it was really, he was putting me down, right? And we're talking about a movie, but he was really putting me down, calling me stupid. And I said, you know what? I won't let you win. I'm going to be your friend. I said something stupid like that. I should have known better. I was trying to do reverse psychology. And I was saying by the end of this, you and I, we're gonna like be friends and shake hands over this and I did say we're talking about a stupid movie. I try to reach people, and I should know better because some people you just can't reach. Some people they're just so far gone, and you can't get into arguments with these people. So after I said something nice to him, he called. This stream might get taken down because I said that word, but I have friends on every different side of life. I love people in general. And just to bring that into the argument over Predator Badlands was just very, very weird. I didn't respond. I just, okay, I'm out. I'm done. But I think that, and I can't, that brings it back to my friend. That happened yesterday. And then my friend today, we were talking about, I talk with YouTube friends. I talk with them probably on a daily basis on my DMs. And I was talking about Wicked. Something about Wicked. I said something. I'll tell you, I won't say the name, but I'll say there's a super, super, super high profile channel that usually gets like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. And they reviewed Wicked. And when I saw the amount, I was just kind of like that they got, I don't want to say the amount because then you'll be able to find who I'm talking about. But let's just say they got like maybe 10% of what I expected them to get view wise for a brand new movie, Wicked. And I was just like, whoa, man, that's weird. I don't know why that is. That's weird. But I was talking to my friend, and then that's when he said, yeah, I don't even like really enjoy reviewing movies anymore, and maybe he's just talking about today. Maybe he's just in a funk today, but he's just like, yeah, I don't enjoy it like I used to and he said the reason, because there's so much negativity out there. And I think when you're just washed away in this current of negativity, even when there's good movies coming out and bad movies coming out and middling movies coming out, and we've all rode that current. And we remember back in the day when you just have civil discussions about movies around the water cooler. You go to work on a Monday morning. Hey, did you see the new Transformers movie this weekend? Yeah, I didn't really, you might even say, yeah, that movie sucked. But it was more of like a playful type of thing. And it wasn't like, you thought it sucked. You're an idiot. You're the dumbest freaking person ever. And you know what? I'm planting my flag right here, right now, and I'm going to back this movie with every fiber of my being. That's where we are now, right? I didn't get on here to like talk about this, but yeah, here we are. That's just a weird thing that's going on right now. I don't. And how do we ever get out of it? Do we ever get out of it? And to be fair, um, Hollywood is in a really bad state right now. People aren't going to movies. Um, I think there's a lot of content out there um, to make content, right? There's so much in the way of video ideas out there that revolve around negativity. We're failing. Hollywood's failing. Um, this movie sucked. The movie star's dead, which is true. I mean, movie stars, they don't make bank. They don't insure butts in seats anymore, right? A lot of this stuff is true, but now we're in a state where, oh, that's content. I can make content out of this, and I can completely shit on something, So it's almost like kicking someone when they're down. I don't know, and I think there's a difference between that and giving constructive criticism to movies. Look, I'm not the guy that's gonna sit here and say I'm gonna stop shitting on movies or giving bad reviews. I take criticism. I take reviewing movies very seriously, and I think giving constructive, positive feedback is just as important as giving constructive, negative feedback. And I do think filmmakers appreciate that. But I think there's a tasteful way you can do that, and I think there's just a really nasty way you can do that. And I think the nasty way you can do that is to do it, over and over and over and over again on the same exact thing. To beat it like a dead horse in the ground. That's just, I can't do that. That just, I gotta move on.